I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737 777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. I am really excited to share with you all some really great friends of mine, Ken and Dee Lindsay. They have been friends of my wife and I for a long time, and I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. Ken and Dee Lindsay have been married for over 23 years. They have 4 children and 2 grandchildren and reside in Simpsonville, South Carolina. Together, they own Lindsay Financial Services, where they offer financial coaching, tax preparation, contractual services to individuals as well as small businesses. Over the last 18 years, they have served in a local church in the area of marriage and family ministry. They are also founders of Grace to Grow Ministries, a nonprofit organization that focuses on mentorship, premarital and marriage coaching, community outreach, and more. Their goal is to help each family unit to become successful in the following areas: faith, family, fitness, finance, and future. Hey, welcome on this episode 38, Ken and Dee Lindsay. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 135. And today, I'm going to talk about this one thing that's going to set you apart from everybody else. And you want to know what it is? It's consistency. Of course, we've talked about this several times on this podcast, but success leaves clues. And, you can never get rid of the fundamental principles of success, and consistency is one of those things. And so few people do it that if you just became that one person that did, you automatically separate yourself from the masses, right? And the reason why I'm having this conversation with you is for 2 reasons. And I say conversation like you're going to talk back to me. I wish you did. I wish you could, like, join our Facebook group, our Facebook community, Code Freedom. You can do that by going to the waytofreedom.info. But but right now I'm just talking. But I can't wait to hear from you all. I love to connect with the audience, right? But here's the deal. Number one, I was looking at, man, we're at 135. I mean, look, we just started this podcast in January of 2021. Yes, this year, like 12 months ago. Almost like to the day, in a few days, in a few maybe 4 or 5 days, right? Um, and by the way, I'm not looking to compete in terms of like having a whole lot of podcast episodes with somebody else. I'm just staying in my lane, right? I'm just staying consistent. I said, look, we're gonna do this podcast, and this is how we're gonna do it. And I'm hey, I'm just consistent with it. And this is not for me to toot my own horn. That's not what I'm here to do. But what I'm saying is there is a um, there is a value. There is a there's something special about consistency. And so you just determined to be that person. Like when things get hard, like even with this podcast, sometimes I'm doing this podcast, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm gonna talk about, right? Sometimes I'm doing this podcast and there's all kind of craziness happening in life, and maybe I'm traveling, or maybe I'm doing some things with my business or with my family or just whatever. And I have to consciously say, hey, it's Thursday. I got to do the podcast, right? It's Tuesday, right? It's Saturday, right? And so the day that we set. And so my whole point is, like, what will you determine to be consistent with, right? And by no means in the stretch of the imagination am I saying that I'm consistent at everything, right? However, I am pretty consistent at most things, right? And so for me, I'm very methodical. We're all habitual creatures, right? We just operate off of habit. But the problem or the challenge is that sometimes we just haven't gotten things into the habit space where it could be consistent, right? Because we didn't do it long enough for it to be consistent, right? Like for me, there's just certain things that like for instance, like when you go to bed at night, fellas, I know you do this. You take everything out your pockets, you put everything on the counter or the dresser or wherever you put it, right? Some of you guys might be like me. You're like, okay, I need to charge this, I need to charge that, I need to charge this, so I could be fresh in the morning, right? Like there's just certain things that you do, right? Maybe you might do some push-ups, some sit-ups, some dips, whatever. You do some reading, maybe you do some studying. Like there's certain things that I just do every single day. I don't even think about it because it's just become a part of who I am. And that's all I want for you all is that you just find a few things that will make the most difference and just make the decision that you are going to be also consistent at it, that you don't care what it looks like, you don't know if things are going good, you don't care if things are going bad, you just know that you're going to stick with it until, right? Until, that's the word, until things start to happen for you. And I promise you, if you just develop that habit where, look, I'm not going to quit. I'm not, like, for instance, so many people start things and stop things and start things and stop things. And just because we don't see it working like right away, we quit all of a sudden. And that's what happened with me in my business. When I started my business, some people, they just, boom, they went straight to the top in their first month and they just killed it, right? And then some people they took a little bit of time for them to get their footing and get things rolling, right? But again, I'm not saying be slow at things, but what I'm saying is be consistent at things. That's the key point, and that's a very big difference. Is everyone has their own journey, everybody has their own story, but if you could just be that person that's consistent with certain things, like consistent with the I love yous and the hugs and the being grateful, consistent with your spiritual life, like reading your Bible and praying and things of that nature, consistent with being conscious of what you eat, right? And what you read and what you listen to. All those things, like there are certain things that we could just find to be consistent at that will make the most difference in our lives. And when we do that, when we challenge ourselves to do that, I'm telling you, life is going to be so much different for you because again, the masses are just not. I mean, here's what's going to happen. I can tell you right now. You know how I know? Because it happens every year in January, the gyms are going to be flooded, right? So you won't be able to find a machine to get on because everyone's going to be there, right? But just give it about February, March, you'll be right back. Nobody else is around, right? Because that's just the way it is. So be that person that says, look, this is my schedule. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm not gonna deviate. Yes, life is gonna happen, things are gonna happen, you may have to do some things and shift some things. But for the most part, what if you were just consistent at a few things and those few things made the big difference in your life? That we call it the compound effect or the slight edge. I talked about that on the popcorn episode. I know I did that one early in the beginning of the podcast, right? So if you haven't checked that episode out, I'll try to put that in the show notes so you can listen to that again if you want to go back and listen to it. It was episode 14, right? But my point is, like, we have to just develop this muscle, right? It's like a muscle. Once you get this muscle built, it's unbreakable, right? And so let's just determine to do that. Another reason why I'm having this conversation or this talk with you is because it's the end of the year. So what I would suggest is, remember we talked about asking questions. Great leaders ask great questions. Go back through the year and look at where you could have been more consistent at certain things and how can we make that adjustment, not even in the new year but going into the new year, because that's another thing. Why do we need to wait for the new year to start new things? No, start now, right? Be exceptional. I listened to this one audio by one of my favorite philosophers, Jim Rohn, and it's called Challenge to Succeed, a challenge to succeed. And he just talks about being exceptional. He talks about being different. He talks about uh, being the person that people can glean from because you are willing to be different. You are willing to adopt certain habits and philosophies and ideas that literally could change everything, change the trajectory of your life. Listen, people are watching you too. Like if you have kids or you have a spouse, like be the example too. Like some of that is just being the example for other people to follow, right? Like certain, I have an independence night every single week. So I call it a financial independence night. So every week, like here's the deal: we have a night for everything. We have a bowling night, we have a date night, we have a Bible study night, we have a sometimes we have like a Netflix night or whatever. Like, why not have a financial independence night? So that's like Xed in stone on my calendar, and I don't deviate from it, right? I don't say, "Oh, let me just do this today." No, like this is my financial independence night. And so that's something that you want to make sure you start to adopt is just certain habits, certain consistencies, develop, find out which areas you want to surround it with, and just go for it, right? Just give it everything you have. So listen, guys, I appreciate you for listening to this episode. I hope you guys got some value from it. And again, don't forget to join our Code Freedom community where we want to have some engagement. We want to be able to hear from you and listen and interact, right? As from the audience to myself. And so look, it is now what the ninth. And I tell you what, did the end of the year be here before you know it's already here. So let's make these last days count and then go into 2022 with a bang. God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all over the top. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.